It's coming.
Hi, I'm David with EV World News. We're talking about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. And I'm back today on a Wednesday with our resident engineer, Mike Herzog. How's it going, Mike?
Glad to be here, David. Just per our conversation right before this, we're both still real people. We're not AI
Right.
yet. This is a real, honest to goodness conversation. But holy smokes, are we not that far away from just shipping this out every week and
No, I
talking in our
know.
voices?
You know, I'm not sure how many videos I have on YouTube, but it's something probably around 700, 800 or more. And I've had people before ask if I was AI in the comments. And the truth is, some of our videos are AI, but nobody's ever pegged one of those as being AI. It's not many. There's but out of those hundreds, there's probably 5% of them, so maybe 30, 35 of them probably have AI as a big chunk of them.
Yeah.
Some of it, it's hard to say. I don't know if you see my LinkedIn posts about nuclear, right?
Yep.
Those are AI.
That's insane.
But it's me. And this is kind of interesting for folks because it's me for like the first 10 seconds, but I say the same thing every day. And then it's into my digitized speech where I basically go through certain news but it's basically the same format. Now it takes Yogi a while to create that. It's not like instantaneous, and it's not truly all AI generated. So it does take some time, but it's way faster than if we were both working on recording it every day. I mean, it would be probably hours of work, and it's reduced to probably like 30 minutes or less per video, which is really
absolutely cool and crazy. And it's the speed at which that stuff is developing and putting out, and people are picking and choosing what works well from some of the models and some of the interfaces, and it's wild.
No, it's really a useful tool. And I find that, you and I talk about it, Bill and I talk about what we're doing to help with create some of the news and find things. And it's really fascinating to see where all that goes. I'm going to start with a Reuters article because Reuters takes up so much of my computing usage. Archer Aviation strikes a Korean deal for EVTOL air taxis. So they signed a partnership with Korean Air to commercialize its electric air taxis in South Korea with a potential purchase of up to 100 aircraft.
And now, it's with Korean Air. That's
Now, mind you, these are generally a pilot and 4-passenger. It's more like an Uber, okay? But it is an electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. They don't have crazy range, whatever. And I've got a couple articles on EVTOLs today. They're becoming more and more common. We've talked about this whole thing where China says they're going to have 100,000 personal or commercial EVTOLs in operation by the end of the decade, which is really hard to fathom. I've met some private equity guys that have invested heavily into Archer and Joby because they're absolutely convinced that's where things are going. And it's going to be like the Jetsons. We're going to have flying cars. It's just, if they're going to be in China first, and then 10 years later, they're going to be in the United States.
And I put a little bit more faith in that. I heard a good analysis where they said China is a very engineering based culture, and the US is a very legal, lawyer based culture.
Right. Yeah, I talk about
so they said if China says they're going to do it and it's feasible to do, they will steamroll over regulations, whatever it looks like, and focus on the engineering, just what they've done with EVs. So how far ahead they are. So if this is on their radar and they want to do it, I mean, it's possible.
Yeah. China is run by engineers. United States is run by lawyers. And you think about this. I always look at this. It's like, look at these damn lawyers in Washington. All they care about is legalese and writing these bills. And if they're not doing, quote, legal work, are they working? And this is one of the arguments. I even hear people talk. There was arguments. I remember one Congress wrote the least bills of all time, and somebody was calling it like the do nothing Congress. It's like, what do you really want? More laws?
More laws, more,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, lawyer fees to discuss which word to use, a very
right.
specific word. Yeah.
And yeah, and then on top of them all being lawyers, they're also hiring all these expensive law firms in the Washington, D.C. area to help shape the policy.
Mhm.
And it's interesting to see, because it's like, well, we want, better foreign policy. Well, let's write thousands of pages of legal documents on that topic. And it's like,
Yeah.
what is that really,
What do we end up with?
accomplishing? Yeah. Now, part of it is being a free society, and people get to make their vote, and you elect officials who go and hopefully they, do what you wanted. It's challenging compared to a, communist society. Well,
Yeah.
China's not really communist. Okay.
Nah, it's changed very much, but it still very is much a top down.
It's a dictatorship.
Dictatorship.
Okay? It's still a dictatorship that lets people have, you can be prosperous as long as you don't upset the government.
Yeah.
And
There's
as long as you don't do anything that upsets
class,
anybody, you can get really rich over there. And it's just a different society. Certainly not praising China. I get very upset about some of the things they do to manipulate stock markets, the import-export markets, things like that. But on the flip side, when it comes to technology, they don't have to get everybody to approve something.
No, and that's and I'm 100% with you. There's lots of reasons to appreciate what we have, and we're not saying no China, but when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to building, when it comes to new construction, they move fast. They can move very, very fast.
So I got a news article that we haven't covered on here, but it was in the nuclear space, and it was really surprising because it was a topic that said, hey, the Democrats and Republicans finally agree on one thing. And I open up the article, it's like, what is it? Is it tacos? I mean, I was really, pizza, it's like one party's for pineapple pizza, one prefers straight pepperoni. No, but it was, it came up nuclear energy. Because right now it said that there's really, in politics, so nuclear's had a lot of hate because of nuclear waste. Okay, we both acknowledge that's a huge problem, right? But when I'm looking at a technology that I'm probably going to raise money for, that we want to use for some of our nuclear projects, that can get rid of 99% of nuclear waste, that's still not zero, okay? But it's still a whole lot, less difficult. And one of the big things is it's getting rid of the irradiated water.
Yeah.
So that's one of the big problems with the current nuclear power scheme. Now, they're not, as a rule, I'm not saying this doesn't happen, because it does happen. Something happened in New York recently where they were dumping like 40,000 gallons, which is a pretty good sized swimming pool full of nuclear water, into one of the rivers in New York. It's like, couldn't they have trucked that somewhere? I don't know what you do with that. Okay, it did not make sense of why that was being released to me. I mean,
I'm not sure. Yeah, that's some loophole somewhere, but
they got busted for it. People are trying to say it's inherently safe, or I don't know. I really don't know the situation, but it just didn't have good
crazy optics, bad optics. Regardless of the situation.
And but I hear people spout, even was at that nuclear fusion conference a couple of weeks ago. One of the people was talking about how fission nuclear waste lasts for 10,000 years. It's like, yep, I've got a solution for that.
Yeah,
it's like, I realize, but it's like people talking about how EV batteries used to catch on fire, or they were, they cost $60,000 for a battery. It's like, well, they did. We're not saying that, these weren't problems. It's just, they're problems that really aren't there anymore. Things change. And, but it's interesting to see where that goes. But we're going to talk a little more about the EVTOLs on today's show. Yeah. Archer is backed by Boeing and Stellantis, and Joby's the other one. They're backed by Toyota.
Wow.
And so when you're seeing the big auto manufacturers and aviation jumping into this space, there's just a
that's
lot going
the
on.
Partnering with Korean Air, an actual somebody in that operating space is really interesting. And hearing Boeing and Toyota, and it's just, those are big names. So much of what we cover in here are, I don't want to call them like mom and pop shops, but they're small. They're trying to get into the market. They're introducing new things. Hey, we've got something unique and kind of innovative to push out. But when the big dogs are out there saying like, this is, we see the future in this space. Yeah, the flying car is kind of like, wow, that's kind of amazing.
So I got a funny one for you today. This one comes from Australia. So at a water park called Jamboree that I think is like shut down for the season right now, BYD is storing 2,000 unsold cars. And people are up in arms about this, that it's causing some kind of potential problem. They're thinking, oh, the Australian government should crush these cars. And it's like,
Wow.
this is somebody's private business. They've got these cars, and they're saying that it's not zoned for car storage. It's like, it's a parking lot.
It's a parking lot, right? Yeah. I'm guessing it's a giant water park because it's a big parking lot. Yeah.
I'm going to show an aerial view here. This is kind of funny.
Well, I guess I don't understand why people would be mad at that, unless they're driving them in and out and it's traffic. But if it's just storage, who cares?
So here is in January of last year when the park was open, because it's summertime in January there, and you see all the cars there, and then over here is current, and you see when it's closed, and you look at all these cars. I mean, these are all BYDs that are parked there that haven't been sold. And people are upset about it. I'm just like, what are you upset about?
It's a parking lot.
I mean, it'd be different if they were full of, if it was all homeless people or something sleeping in them or something like that.
Like live ammo, or munitions or something really dangerous, but a big parking lot full of cars. I mean, that I don't quite get it.
Hundreds of readers and locals are calling for the council to take tough action against both BYD and the property owners. Blatantly illegal and clear misuse of the property. And I'm just like, this is not zoned for that purpose. It's like,
what would a parking lot be zoned for then? I mean, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know. Well, and it's like you said. I mean, it's got to be, if the summer season's coming up there, if that park's going to open. I imagine it's not a permanent thing, but maybe it is. It goes back to one of those free fair market. This is a private landowner doing business with a private company, and it's not a noise thing because it's EVs. They're not going to be loud. I mean, it's not a fire hazard or explosion hazard. I mean, the only thing I could think is increased traffic, but it's a water.
There's no traffic.
I know, but like if they're moving them in and out constant, whatever it might be, but like that's their operation. Like they move people in and out of the water park.
Several commenters suggested the unregistered vehicle should be impounded, sold, or crushed if not removed. And it's just like, so this is a big difference between like the United States and other countries. We over here, we assume that we own property. We have rights to that property. Right. Now I can understand if they were like changing oil on gas powered cars and dumping oil on the property, or something like that. But these are electric cars. There's not something that's bizarre coming out of
there's
them.
That's where I'm going through the Rolodex in my head of like, what would be an environmental consideration, a safety whatever. And it's EVs. I don't know. I mean, I'm not 100% sure what they're doing. Now, if they were, stripping them for, rare earth minerals or something in the parking lot, sure. That sounds like an issue, but they're just parked.
What they should do is they should turn on the autonomous features and have them all take a trip through town every day
Just
every vehicle, all 2,000 cars, just steadily pulling out, and just so they're not they're no longer just parked there.
They're just not
parked. They're
active. They're part of the community. It's testing.
Maybe even twice a day. Maybe even twice a day. Just jam up the whole town with
it's like taking your dog for a walk. We just need we need to air them out a little bit. Let them stretch their legs.
Yeah, I mean, it is the strangest.
Yeah, that's wild.
I mean, of all the things to complain about, I mean, I'm just sitting here trying to think. It's like, who started this, and what does anybody care?
Why does anybody care? I don't. They're already there. I mean, why does this hurt anybody?
Yeah, it's not. And I showed you the aerial view. I mean, maybe it's some hurting your drone footage. I don't know. Maybe you wanted to see some bare asphalt. They're at the Jamboree water park. Anyways, it's probably caused those some good publicity for Jamboree. And, maybe when the summer comes, maybe the BYDs will be gone and the customers will be back, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So anyways, one of our EV World curated articles is about a lab where GM is cooking up new EV batteries to beat China. GM is developing new lithium metal batteries, LMR, at its EV battery lab to boost range and cut costs. The goal is to surpass current lithium-ion tech by using solid-state designs that offer higher energy density and faster charging. GM aims to integrate LMR into future Ultium-based batteries, including affordable EVs like the next-gen Bolt. The lab accelerates testing and innovation to meet 2027 production targets. LMR, lithium metal batteries. I mean, it's always lithium with something. It's
always lithium.
Ion, lithium, ferrite.
Yeah. I've been following batteries for 15 years, and you can go Google it right now, and you will find a breakthrough from today, last week, last month, and last year at all times. And we talk about it all the time. Now, when it's a big manufacturer like a GM and kind of looking at innovation with lowercase I, like we're just steadily making improvements. All right, I feel that. I feel that's maybe going to go somewhere, but it is so hard to get from a lab bench to actual production level quality and everything like that. It's a huge gap. It's a huge gap. So if they're just doing incremental improvements, we're going to try this. It's a new whatever chemical compound that is going to steadily make those improvements. Great. But I'm not holding my breath. This is going to revolutionize or drop this to the price of a BYD Dolphin, or something.
No. I always wonder with some of it, but you and I have talked about this plenty. If it's not LG, Cattle, BYD, and in this case, GM, we believe, Toyota has huge investments in battery tech for the fact that they're not big in the EV space. Certainly spent money on battery manufacturing in the United States and overseas, and so it's not like they're short on putting money in this stuff. It's interesting to kind of look at. I've been kind of not much the EV stocks hardly changed today. Anywhere from being up or down 1%,
just 1% or 2.
Yeah, Ford oddly enough though is up almost 5% today. It's interesting to kind of watch the stock ticker occasionally as we're going through the show, because I was looking at where Tesla was. Tesla is virtually unchanged in the past month, but it keeps bouncing up and down. Yeah, and it's funny because they're like around $434 this instant, and they were, 6 months ago they were down below 240. So, or they're right now they're $200 higher than they were 6 months ago, and it's really wild to see that a company that's that large and their stock is that valuable keeps fluctuating.
Yeah, for me, that's one of those. There's a lot happening with a certain owner of that company about 6 months ago or 8 months ago, where they've not, and he made the right decision of like, this is this is hurting business. Time to step out. Follow the schedule and get the heck out of there, because I think he was feeling that pinch.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people criticize him for being involved in the Trump administration when, the Trump administration got rid of the tax credit for EVs. But one of Musk's things was, well, we don't need it. Everybody else needs it. So in our case, it may help. The problem you got right now is all of a sudden, when Musk got involved in politics, was when all of a sudden there actually started being options in the EV space. Yeah. Because really, if you look back 2 years ago, there weren't a lot of options in the EV space, and Tesla opening up their supercharger network to everybody really gave people a lot more decent options. Mm-hmm. So while on the one hand, it's cementing the NACS as the one ring to rule them all, it's probably not cementing Tesla as being the forever top EV seller in the United States.
Yeah. Well, we see it with their, was it last year? Their sales numbers went up, but their market penetration went down. And it's just a testament to we're increasing, but there's more brands and more models. And it's constantly evolving too. I see so many different ones driving down. I'm seeing more Chevys, more Prologues, just everywhere you look, because obviously you and I pay attention to this stuff a lot. So eyes are always peeled on where the EVs are at. But yeah, just the make and models and different vehicle types out there today, just anecdotally. I mean, it is really ramping up.
The nuclear space is taking a beating today. Oklo is back, so it shot up to 181. It's come back down to 116 after over the course of the last month. And I saw in here new scales down. Somebody downrated the whole nuclear industry in the news a few days ago. So now is really probably the day to go in. So look at this. It says new scales down 13% today. Probably a good time to buy new scale. Same thing with Nano. Nano but all of these stocks in the last couple of weeks have had 20% days where they grew at least that much in a single day. There's another new one, NKLR, that just went public a couple of weeks ago. They went public at $10 as the initial offering, shot to 15, then shot to 21. Now they're at $8. Ooh. Yeah, but that's a frequent thing. And I'm sitting thinking $8 is probably a good entry point on that stock. And just this, you do your own research, I'm just kind of throwing this out. But the way that the market is bouncing up and down, I watch these stocks every day and seeing them that right now.
Seeing where they're at today.
Yeah. Right now is probably a day to buy Oklo, probably a good day to get into several of these. I'd probably, there is a nuclear ETF, but it's funny how it's split up between fuels. It's split up between reactors designs, fuels, and something else, or just general energy. Yeah. Like Bloom Energy has been doing really well this year, and they're also going to be in the nuclear space, but they do all kinds of other energy. Yeah. But anyways, let's see. All right. So one of Bill's highlighted articles today was why the Cybertruck became a $10 billion failure. And this is kind of interesting because the Cybertruck was supposed to come out and be like a $40,000, $50,000 truck. Wasn't that how it was first marketed, I'm thinking?
Yeah.
It was going to be inexpensive. Yeah. And, it released at like $120,000 in the Foundation edition. And then, they progressively keep getting a little cheaper, but I'm not sure if you can get one under 80 grand yet.
I was the number I have in my head is 80 grand. That's it's about 80 grand.
And that's still a far cry from 40.
So I haven't been following it close. I mean, when it first came out, there's a big backlog, and hey, we want to get these, and people were waiting for it. Is it just our sales just tanking? I kind of went through.
Yeah, it's just not getting the sales.
There's no sales. I mean, lot of lot of issues with that. Well, part of it, what we just talked about, one, when it should have been kind of hitting its prime is during election cycle and support and everything like that. So there was general backlash against Tesla. Two, for whatever, I mean, I know a lot of the reasons, but that vehicle in particular just got trashed, on the internet and in different spaces. And three, my personal opinion, I don't think it's a very good looking vehicle. It's interesting and it was novel and unique, but then when you're comparing it against a Rivian, or truck or an F-150 Lightning, it's like, oh, I want that Venn diagram of I'm a big truck guy and I want an electric vehicle. Like, feels like the F-150 Lightning's really filling in that space for price point, especially.
Well, if you need a truck, and I'm not a Chevy fan, so don't think I'm a real Chevy fan. I've always been a Ford fanboy. Okay. But the Silverado checks a lot of boxes. If you're a general contractor, you can't go wrong buying a Chevy EV truck. Okay. You got that 200 kilowatt hour battery. You can tow with that thing and not worry about running out of range. Your biggest problem you're going to have is probably getting it charged fast enough if you really had to tow 1,000 miles or something stupid like that. That's probably not the thing to do. But if you're towing a construction trailer in town constantly, you're never going to be left high and dry with that Chevy or stressed out over it. You could go a couple hundred miles easy with that trailer and not have to worry about charging and take it back home, hook up your level 2 charger to the thing. It's gonna take a while to charge on a level 2, because what are you putting, but maybe 40 miles every hour into the of range? No, not even that, because that's that huge battery. You're probably only putting maybe 20 miles of range every hour, and it's not super fuel efficient, energy efficient in comparison, but it's still way more efficient than diesel or gas or whatever. So I've not even been in one of the Chevy EVs yet. I probably need to go test drive some, but I'm just saying, I think that you wouldn't be disappointed. I like the fact that they address towing. Yeah. Okay. And that's the thing. The Ford only has what I like about them is you can't really tell that they're an EV.
No.
But they only have an 80-mile range towing a trailer. And that might really give you some range anxiety when you're towing anxiety,
if that's your business and that's your job. Yeah. It's one of them, I need this, and can't be left high and dry in the middle of the day. But and that's where I think it was just from a timing perspective and looking at it where these, the big manufacturers, big three, are coming out with their own vehicles, true like work trucks that are electric. It just, Cybertruck, it just didn't have a home, it feels like, except for the people that were all gung-ho about it to start with. It just kind of like, who's going to buy one today?
What's interesting is about the cheapest you can find a used Cybertruck is about 69,000.
So they're not losing value.
They're not losing value, but if Tesla all of a sudden starts selling for 70,000, then those are going to lose some value, right? And that's been one of the problems, really. Like Tesla released the Model S Plaid. It was almost $150,000. Now you can get one for 80. Well, so that really, the used Model S Plaids, they're occasionally available for like $50,000 now. Okay. And I'm not saying that's easy to find, but they do exist. And, but I was looking, you can lease a Cybertruck. This is with about 5,000 down. It's $700 a month for 3 years. Okay. So if you just added that 5,000, about 150 a month, you'd be looking at about, $850 a month is what effectively works out to 10,000 miles a year. It's not cheap,
It's not, but it's not a cheap vehicle.
But when the average cost of driving a vehicle in the United States, I think we look at it, is around $1,100 a month when you factor in payments,
payment,
maintenance,
insurance,
gas,
yeah.
and you figure you're going to probably have $50 a month in electricity. That puts you around 900. You're going to have probably $200 in insurance.
Yeah.
So you're at 1100, and you're not going to
far
have a
off.
whole lot of maintenance. I mean, it's really, in terms of average American car price, it's probably pretty affordable.
Yeah. I mean, just eyeballing it on the napkin. I mean, that's reasonable. I mean, it's right in that space.
Yeah. But anyways, I'm just saying it's not.
I've seen that a lot in the past week, and maybe I got another interesting stream, but it's just the plummeting value of EV resale, and it keeps going down. And it's you look at it and you just go real quick, like, well, it's because new vehicles are cheap. I mean, the price of new just keeps going down so much. Why can't I? It's like building in the suburbs. I can go buy a brand new house, for a couple thousand more than buying one that's 10 or 15 years old. I mean, it's interesting.
Okay, so for a while, searching online, used EVs under $25,000 were really hard to find because of the $4,000 tax credit. They were getting snapped up like crazy, and you used to be able to see like a Nissan Leaf for like less than $10,000, and those virtually vanished. Okay, because when you started that, I think you could, the max tax credit was 30% of the sales price. But if you had an $8,000 Leaf with $2,400 off of it, and you figure a lot of those are sold in states that also give state rebates for used cars, and you might get a couple thousand more. Those cars started getting really cheap, and so now with the federal rebate gone, if you start looking on sites like Car Gurus and some of the others, they're out there again. And one of the interesting ones is like the Hyundai Kona.
Okay.
There's a lot of those out there for around $12,000, $13,000. Okay. That's a damn cheap car. And you can find something in that range with about 65,000 miles. They have to have a minimum 100,000 mile battery warranty. And when you're getting an electric car, you're generally not getting like a super base model car. It's still going to have like heated seats, heated steering wheel, navigation, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. It's usually going to have all of those features. And I'm just saying there's a lot of cheaper stuff. The Chevy Bolts now have come back down to where they're in the 13 to 18 range. You're still not seeing a whole lot of Tesla Model 3s below 20. You're not seeing them below 20, but you're seeing an occasional Model Y that might hit with high mileage under $25,000. Yeah, so you're seeing some, but it was interesting, and there are those Nissan Leafs for like $8,000 again.
Wow.
Yeah, so and those are ones typically with like 150 mile range. So they're not the 80 mile range of the original ones, but they're still for somebody just needing a commuter car that's going to, you figure $8,000 for that car, you're probably putting $30 to $50 of electricity max in that thing a month. You're probably going to have car insurance, it's probably like $80. You're going to have very little maintenance on that.
Well, that's at that high or low value of start. Like, holy cow, you're making bank just not filling that thing up with gas. I mean, that's really, really easy to overcome some of those initial price point differences. I mean, that's cheap. I might go start looking for some of those. I mean, I've got a couple years till the kid gets older, but going back and forth to school and driving around town, like, seems pretty
there's
easy.
Starting to be some good deals. Now, those aren't in Omaha. Okay, they have to. But I was looking at them with prices shipped into Omaha. That might be $1,000 to have them sent in. And I've gone and looked. Hertz used to sell a lot of used EVs. They don't have any really anymore. They might have a handful, but they barely have. And those really got sold through during the $4,000 tax credit. So the sites are a little different. There was so many sites that had the $4,000 eligible vehicles. But even then, a lot of times you'd be looking, and if a vehicle had previously gotten the $4,000 credit and somebody traded it back in, or it got repoed or whatever, it
wasn't eligible again.
It wasn't eligible again.
Yeah.
So that was a frustration looking at vehicles, because some of them were eligible and some of them weren't. And that was kind of a strange deal. But going to go back to, we were talking about the EVTOLs, and I mentioned who was partnering. So I was mentioning that Archer is partnered with Stellantis. They're also Boeing's an investor in them. They have an FAA type of certification that's supposed to come up by the end of the year, with plans to have some U.S. cities operating by 2020, by next year.
By next year.
Yeah. Now, Joby is the Toyota one. They have 80% FAA certification complete, dual state production underway, which I don't know exactly what that means. FAA certification is expected by middle of next year, and planned U.S. and Dubai commercial service next year. And
that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's even here. That's on the doorstep of just about there.
Another company called Supernal is a Hyundai Korean brand. Program paused after leadership exits and they're restructuring. They're hoping to have certification sometime around 28, but their launch plans have definitely been delayed due to some leadership exits. And then Eve Air Mobility is Porsche.
Ooh.
Okay. Aircraft design finalized, manufacturing strategy in place, dual certification in Brazil, and with the US FAA targeted for next year. Initial flights planned in Sao Paulo and select US cities. So they're apparently trying to work that down there. That's not talking about the Chinese companies. Mm-hmm. So now Xpeng has this thing called the land aircraft carrier. That combo looks like an RV.
We saw that last week or something.
Yeah. And manned flights completed in Dubai. UAE flight permit is granted. China production certificate pending. Middle East deliveries to start next year. China mass production is planned. Geely, which we know owns, Volvo cars and some other brands, has acquired the brand Volocopter, which was a German brand that went bankrupt. They've already have 150 aircraft ordered. They're going to manufacture in China, in Chengdu. Their certification over there was delayed to late last year. They have a Chinese joint venture awaiting CAAC approval, which I assume is the Chinese equivalent of the FAA. Mm-hmm. But they've got a launch planned in China here shortly. I mean, it's like any day kind of thing. BYD is doing something, but all we know is they have internal development going. There's been no certifications filed. Nothing's really known, but people know that they're monkeying around with this. They're getting into the space. Yeah. But obviously Archer is
leading the way.
Kind of in the lead right now. Bill and I were talking about, they just bought a whole bunch of patents. Lilium, which was another German company, went bankrupt, and Lilium had 1.5 billion put into their technology. Archer snatched it all up for, I think, about 30 million.
Wow.
Yeah, this is one of the things, like I keep talking about in our other meetings. It's really interesting just kind of see that space. Then you've got, obviously Joby's next. Toyota's put 400 million into Joby, so that's pretty serious stuff. I mean, it's interesting just to see where that space is going. Now, notice we did mention Stellantis. Notice we didn't talk Ford, GM, anybody else. I would never really be surprised if we saw Tesla doing something with this, but we don't even see Tesla.
I bet that's another one behind closed doors. I bet somebody's looking at that at Tesla.
Yeah, if nothing else, you'd think they'd be doing drones or something.
Yep. Just something. Just I mean, with the the purview
with the
and
tech they've got,
that companies had, like they're looking at it. Somebody
with the cash and the tech and the fact they have SpaceX, you'd think that maybe SpaceX would be selling drones to Ukraine or something like that. You know, you'd think there'd be something going on there, right?
Yeah.
But here's something kind of weird is after getting millions in tax breaks, Rivian won't say how many people work in Normal, Illinois. The public at one time when they first opened it, they had about 350 people in 2020, and then by 23 they had 8,000 people working there. And now they just say the 8,000 figure is no longer accurate, but they won't say exactly
what the new number
what it is.
I wonder if they have guarantees, like job guarantees with the state or county or local.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Rivian has just under 15,000 employees throughout the entire company, but Normal's their main manufacturing facility. It's just, but they're probably, in the county they're in, they're probably the second largest employer behind State Farm. State Farm has a headquarters there.
Okay.
But it's just kind of weird to think that they asked the mayor how many people he thought worked there, and the mayor guessed 8,500.
If it went up, why would they? I wouldn't think that would be something to hide, or unless they have very specific targets, incentive-based targets, or penalty targets.
Yeah, it's weird, kind of to see. It's like I don't know if this is going to become some kind of scandal or something.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of wondering where this information goes.
Like that's weird. Yeah.
It's just weird. It always makes you wonder where that's going, right?
Yeah.
Let's see what I had here. Tesla's got a battery recall on 13,000 Model 3 and Model Ys. The 2025 model, the battery pack defect causes sudden power loss while driving occasionally.
That's not good.
They've had 36 warranty claims and 26 field reports of something occurring. So if you have a 25 Model 3 or 26 Model Y, you may want to check on seeing if you're under this recall. Let's see. I was talking about the Tesla stock. Tesla had a big surge in Q3 buying. But now they're trying to offer these standard variants that are stripped down, that are $5,000 less expensive. Who knows where some of that stuff's going to go on the price. $5,000 is a pretty big difference on a 30, dropping a car from maybe 38 to 33 kind of thing. Let's see. Looking for stuff we didn't cover yesterday. So GM is planning this affordable EV range by 2027. Now, obviously, they've got the redesigned Bolt, but they're trying to make a couple other cars less expensive. Now, part of this has to do with the fact that batteries are just getting cheaper, right?
Yeah.
And but this wasn't anything like a really startling announcement. But they're doing really well. I think it's the Equinox that's selling really well.
Yeah, those they look nice too. The Blazer looks pretty good too.
Yeah, and you really can't tell they're EVs. I mean, the only way you can really tell a vehicle's an EV by looking at the front grille.
Yeah,
they're not letting air through.
The grill. But some of the new Volvos are pretty blocked up too, because I'm looking for those EX30s or EX90s. But I always look for, is the gas tank behind the passenger, or is it in front of the driver? And it's in front. Okay, that's an EV, or at least some type of plug-in hybrid.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense to have that plug up front for when you pull into the charger, right? So it's actually close to the charger. You don't have to wrap around the vehicle. But GM is convinced they can make effectively low-cost automobiles. So we'll see where that goes. Let's see. Got that. Another aircraft manufacturer called Otis, ODYS Aviation. They're out of Long Beach, California. They just raised 26 million in a Series A round, and their vehicles look kind of drone-ish. Let me just share this here, and I'm not 100% certain that this. I think these are actually mock-up images. They don't look real to me.
That doesn't look real. No.
Yeah, but that's how they're supposed to be designed, though. I mean, the one on the left obviously is a drone.
Mm-hmm.
The one on the right is the same, almost the same vehicle, just scaled up
Just
with
bigger.
more propellers. Yeah, and but I'm sure that's
Yeah.
the idea. They're getting more reasonable aviation, but they're building a hybrid electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. Let's see if I could find anything really significant with this. But 26 million is a significant amount of cash. It really doesn't give much news otherwise on the company other than just really where it's at, and but nothing on. They have an aircraft called the Layla. That's about it. Doesn't give much. 26 million is not a whole lot in that space when Lilium just went bankrupt after having had 1.5 billion put in it. And I know they had an investor not put their money in that had made a commitment, and it was supposed to be like a $200 million tranche, and they just basically bled out. Yeah. And that's a real frustrating thing to go through. Anyways, that's all we got for today. And I'll be back with Bill on Friday this week. And otherwise, I'm not going to say who our guest is next Wednesday, but I've had somebody twice have challenges on the day that we were scheduled. And I'm giving him another shot because I really want to hear what he has to say. So anyways, but otherwise, folks, thanks for watching today. And we'll be back Friday.